Let me bring in Dhirendra Kumar, the CEO of Value Research in our in-house mutual fund expert who joins us on this show every week. Dhirendra, thank you so much for joining us on Investor's Guide. Let's get straight to our portfolio question. 25-year-old Prabal Rao Chaudhary writes in, he wants to build a corpus of 35 lakh rupees in the next 5 years. Now he tells us he wants 25 lakh for a new home and 10 lakh rupees for his younger brother's education. He doesn't have any investments in equity right now. 60,000 rupees in a fixed deposit, 50,000 rupees a year going into insurance plans. He can put aside 35,000 rupees a month. Dhirendra, it's a steep ask, but it's a noble cause. He wants to save for his younger brother's education. How do you recommend he gets started?
You know, there are two ways of approaching it, because one of his goal is not very long term. You know, in 5 years' time, he'll be needing about 10 lakh rupees. I would say that, you know, every portfolio should have an allocation to fixed income as well as equity, and more into fixed income if you are closer to your goal. Here he has, you know, combination of goals. He needs 35 lakh rupees over a period of time, but of which 10 lakh rupee he must need, he will, you know, require in 5 years' time. I would say that, you know, if he's investing 30,000 rupees a month, then about a third of it should be going into a recurring deposit. And so in 5 years' time, you know, that recurring deposit should be able to take care of the education. Remaining money should get into our aggressive portfolio. And he should look at the performance holistically, stick to this plan. And so aggressive portfolio for nearly, you know, 3/5 of his, you know, 60% of his investment, and a recurring deposit for this.
All right, the advice you're getting right now is 60% of the money that you save right now, put it in our aggressive portfolio. It's on your screen at this moment. The remaining 40% you can invest in a recurring deposit. Dhirendra, there's another thing in his portfolio that we have to consider, the fact that he's putting 50,000 rupees right now every year into insurance plans. He hasn't told us what plans these are, whether they're ULIPs or whether they're pure insurance. But can you give him some sort of a checklist he can use to review these plans and see if they make sense for him?
Yeah, surely. You know, first of all, he should get his policy document out and read it. If it is an investment-linked insurance, then he should consider discontinuing it if it is 3-year-old. Insurance and investment don't mix well, and you get the worst of both. Also, going by, you know, the goal for which he is saving and investing, it is important that he is adequately covered. So he should certainly, and the cheapest way of getting adequate coverage for yourself, adequate cover for yourself, is a term insurance policy.
So, Prawal, remember that if you have a younger brother who's dependent on you, it makes sense for you to buy that term cover as soon as possible. Write back to us if you need any more help. We have a question from Mr. Kandasamy who's written in. He tells us, Dhirendra, he's invested a substantial part of his retirement funds into the HDFC liquid fund. Now, the weekly dividend he earns from that fund is being directly invested into HDFC Prudence, and this has been going on for a year. Now, he's not happy with the kind of return this investment has given him. He wants to know what he should do now. For someone who's retired, is this a good strategy to follow, to put your money into a liquid fund and put the earnings from a liquid fund into a more aggressive fund?
For a retired person, I think there are more primary checks to be done. One is that if he is dependent on income from his investment, then investing in a liquid fund may not be a wise idea. First is that either you should have some concrete revenue stream, an investment which will generate some guaranteed savings for you for your day-to-day living. That is one. It could well be, you know, your pension income, if you're a government employee, a pension income, or from guaranteed saving schemes, or a rental income maybe. This could be a wise thing only for a person who has all that in place, but wants to supplement, you know, want to protect his worth of his investment over a period of time, because your fixed income investment will lose value over time if you're consuming the income. And I think, you know, 1 year time period is not good enough for you to evaluate. You are doing the right thing. Don't give up.
All right, so you are doing the right thing. Don't give up on that investment. We have a similar question that's come in from KVS Rao, who tells us he invested 3 lakh rupees in the HDFC equity fund in April 2011. He tells us the NAV at that point was 289 rupees. Now, he tells us the NAV has come down 10 rupees since then per unit, and he believes he would have fared better if he had put the same money in a fixed deposit. He wants to know what he should do now. This is obviously a question that several investors are asking. Dhirendra, what advice would you give him at this point?
You know, there are two issues here. One is that, you know, equity market hasn't gone anywhere. On top of it, you know, the HDFC funds have done relatively poorly, you know, relatively not as good as they have done in the past. Relative to their own performance, they have been laggards in recent years. So I would say, and most good funds, any good fund can go through a phase which could be disappointing. And also, this primary thing that you have invested over the past 1 or 2 years and your equity funds or equity investments are not generating as much as what you would have earned from a fixed deposit, that is generally true. Every time the equity market struggle, that is the time when fixed income, the fixed income yields are high. And so this is nothing new. But it's very important to stay on course. Have, your long-term money should be into equity, and if you have the time, if you don't need to consume it over the in the next 1 year, 6 months, then you should stay the course and stick to your to a disciplined approach of investing regularly through the lean times. And I think most investors who discontinue will be greatly disappointed by giving up at this point.
Well, what would you advise Mr. KVS Rao? How long would you think he should at least hold on for from this point?
I would say that if you are expecting that in 1.5 years' time equity will generate superlative return, that is never likely to happen. Once in a while it can happen, but it's a matter of chance. But I think he should be thinking in terms of money getting into equity, and you are investing regularly. It should be for an investment for many years. I don't think 1.5 years time frame is good enough for you to get upset and disappointed. Then maybe the equity fund, then equity investment is just not for you. If you want continuous performance, sustained performance over a period of time from your investment, then don't even look at equity. Just consider a recurring deposit. It will give you predictable return. It will give you consistent return.